They're never sure about any definition or anything really until it comes to calling you insecure about you not wanting your wife thinking about other men while having
pure cope,
pure
dude.
leftoid cope.
But remember when I asked him, wouldn't you prefer to have a woman who's had sex with other men before? Yes. It's like, yes.
I wouldn't want to date a virgin. That's true. I wouldn't.
I know. You want to have...
It doesn't follow from that it means ran through, Andrew. You don't
What
get
is
to make
ran
that false
through?
dichotomy.
What is ran through?
Fine, yeah, then 1,000 people, sleeping with 1,000 people, then
20,
probably not.
20?
I don't have an exact number in my head, Andrew. It's
Well,
not,
then
it's
what do
not
you mean? Why are you saying ran through?
Hold on, because of I'm not saying that it follows that I don't want any woman who's had sex with like an infinite number of men, okay? It's a balancing act of so many different traits.
Oh,
so
but
I don't
you want
think
her to be able to have at least as much experience as possible so that she can make the determination you're the bestest, right?
No, not necessarily the bestest. Of course not.
Don't you want your woman to think you're the best?
Wait, if I wanted her to think I was the best, I would just do what you do, which is
I
only
know.
marry virgins.
Don't you want?
Which is only marry virgins.
Wait,
I don't want
don't you want
I don't
your
want my
woman
to think.
By the way, I
I'm
didn't say that's
falsely.
what I do.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying
Yeah.
the position that
Yeah,
you're
so tell me,
position that you're advocating.
Would you
Andrew.
Would you prefer that your woman thinks you're the best?
Because I am the best, not because she thinks I'm the best. Because
So then
she's
she would
falsely-
need a pretty large comparative sample to make sure that she knew that you were the best, right?
I don't necessarily think that is the only criterion here.
Uh-huh.
I don't. If I dated a woman and she had better sex with another man, and for other reasons, like for example, in relationships,
Would you
the
want her
sex-
to tell you about it?
The sex can be great.
Yeah,
I
would
think-
you want her to tell you about like, John ate my he's so much better than you.
not during the act or something like
Yeah,
that.
but
in
after.
that way, or in that way,
Yeah.
I think that would.
What
be
if she
weird.
was like, "Can you just do this like John used to?" Would you be
No.
okay with that?
Andrew? There is a difference.
And would you
between doing-
answer my
there's a-
question? Would you be
no,
okay with that?
Not in that language.
Why?
Not in that language.
Why?
Because then that
But
is
she
just being
is
mean.
actually asking you
Hold
that
on,
'cause John
hold on,
did it,
Hold
though,
on,
right?
because there are different ways of communicating a message. If she was like, because what that does is that's just saying you are inferior. What instead the question could be is, hey, in previous relationships, I really liked it when this guy
So you
did
want her
this.
to lie to you?
No, I don't want her to lie
Why
to
is she
me.
asking you to do this thing though? If she's asking you to do the thing, and in her brain she's asking you because this other guy did it and she really likes it, right?
Wait, no, she can tell me that it's another guy.
So can you do this thing that John used to do? I really liked it.
During the act or just in conversation?
Yeah, in conversations.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so you wouldn't mind hearing about that?
No.
It wouldn't bother you a bit?
No. I mean, if she's constantly talking about the sex that she's had with other guys, then that would be a little bit strange.
Now, let me ask you this. How do you think it would go over if you were with your girlfriend and you were like, look, the problem is that like Stacy used to really suck my good and you just don't. And so what you need to do is get at least 2 more inches of yaw down your throat.
Okay.
Do you think
that's incredibly crass and crude?
So what you would do instead is lie, right?
I would not lie. I would
What
have
would you say?
I would have conversation with her that in previous relationships.
But in your head, you really want her to suck like Stacy.
I think you can, but I just don't think you have to say it in such like
But you know
obtuse language,
how you
Andrew.
can do it without lying?
Oh, you don't have sex with anyone ever.
Isn't that true?
And be a virgin.
How is that not having sex with anyone ever?
Wait, before you have sex with one person.
So
Okay,
necessarily, if we're talking about
Andrew,
exactly.
that's a really uncharitable.
No, it was
interpretation of what
totally
I was
charitable.
saying.
You
No.
were obfuscating.
No, I was not obfuscating.
You were obfuscating. So the question is, right? Why would you not prefer, if it led to more happiness for your woman, she was actually objectively happier, right? And you were objectively happier. Why would you prefer to have a higher sample size to compare yourself against if it led to like these worser outcomes in relationships?
What do you mean worser outcomes? What would the worser outcomes
They're less
be?
happy. Less happy because they are making comparisons to other people where those comparisons don't need to be made.
I think there's a balancing act between the truth and happiness. Do you think people like live? I mean, this is a really interesting way to put it. Do you think like living in like bliss where you don't know reality but are really happy is preferable to being less happy but being in tune with reality?
No, I think actually this goes to my point, not yours, right? So I think that you don't need to do heroin. I think you don't need to do heroin to ever make a comparison, right, between like beer and heroin. I like beer. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep drinking it.
Sure.
I'm not going to do heroin though.
But isn't heroin
But
different
heroin
than beer?
could be.
Isn't heroin different than beer?
But hang on. But isn't Chad different than you?
It's sex, Andrew.
Yeah, and sex is very different with people, isn't it?
Sure, it can be.
Yeah, great. So the thing is, it's like, so I have a beer, right? Heroin could be fucking amazing. It
Okay.
could be fucking like the shit. So
Okay.
it could be black tar, like laced with some fucking insane shit. I could feel like I'm on cloud 9.
The shit.
But I'm not going to do it, right?
Sure.
And I still like beer.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not going to like, why do I need to have the comparison to know what I'm missing here?
So what I think is going on here with that is there are a lot of negative outcomes associated with heroin. You would say there's a lot of negative outcomes with promiscuity. Wait a second. Do you want me to let me? Do you want to let me finish what I was
Go
saying
ahead,
before you say
bro.
that?
Go
You're
ahead.
going to say that the comparison is there's a lot of negative outcomes to promiscuity.
Yeah.
What I would say is I don't think those outcomes are necessarily related to the sex that the people are having.
What
I think it's a lack of communication. I think it's largely can be a lack of consent.
why is it
I
that-
think it could be because you
Then why
can
are
have-
virgins reporting
What?
happier sex lives, dude?
They're reporting happier sex lives. I don't because they prefer that.
Because they don't have a
Hold on.
comparison.
Hold on, but you are. I'm so
Bro,
confused.
dude,
I'm
because
so
they have no
confused.
it's so simple, and it's like, do I need to compare heroin with beer to like beer to have like this ongoing long-term relationship and be very happy with beer? I never need to take heroin. Why is this?
Why would you ever try another beer?
Why is there necessary preconditions here? Right. Well, here's the thing. Right. I would.
You're
say,
satisfied with that beer, right?
Yeah, I would say that sex for a woman with like a 6'6" man, right, versus a sex with a woman with like, I don't know, a 4 foot fucking tall pygmy dude, right, is going to be so fucking different on scale. It's going to be more akin to like this and something like heroin than it would be
No.
between light beer and heavy beer, dude.
I don't think. I mean, we're completely going out on a limb here. I don't think it at all necessarily entails that someone who's taller is going to be better at having sex. There's
No.
a lot
It's
of different kinds
it's
of
the idea of attraction level, the idea of, well, I mean, there's all sorts of massive factors which would go into this. So, but I do think that it is the case, right, that if you have a lesser sample size, right, you seem to be making this claim like ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss with heroin, isn't it?
Wait, we know the bad things.
We
Don't
know the
things.
bad things
It's
for promiscuity.
Hold on. And this would go to the question of heroin. If there were, and people have proposed like safe injection sites for people to do it safely. If that leads to them being better off, then yes, I'm in favor of them getting
Yeah,
the
the
good
problem
without
is,
the bad.
don't you
And I don't
agree-
think
oh,
they're.
bro.
I don't think they're inherently intertwined. I just think they so often are.
As a harm
and they
reduction
can't be, and they
bro.
can't be separated.
So
I
as a
think they
harm
can be
reductionist, don't you
separated.
think that if we have heroin injection sites and things like this, that you're normal, like I'll give you a perfect example of this. The pro-marijuana crowd, right? Let's all smoke weed,
Yep.
right? They said once marijuana is legal, it's only going to be the people who were smoking it before who just won't go to jail, right? But that's not actually how it happened at all. What actually happened is after marijuana was legalized, now it's advertised fucking everywhere nonstop, and tons of people who ordinarily would never have smoked marijuana are smoking it. Tons,
Sure.
right? It creates a normalization, and the normalization creates the ability to have the discourse around propaganda. This is actually good.
What?
Right? Yeah. So, like, for instance, beer commercials. Do you think beer commercials would lead more people to drink or less?
Probably more people. I don't
Probably
know.
more. That makes sense to me. It follows. Same thing with legalization of a thing.
Okay.
It generally seems to lead to more of that behavior, not less.
This is then a moderation thing, right?
Well, yeah, actually, it is a
People should not be-
moderation
Wait,
thing.
no, but your moderation thing is just only one person, and I'm saying that there is a there can be
No.
a happy
My
medium.
moderation thing is that every subsequent person you now have more experiences to compare to for negative experiences when you never needed to do it, just like with drugs. Just like with drugs,
yeah,
like,
no.
oh, shrooms are better than heroin, beer is better than me, right?
Wow.
It's all a negative
Yeah,
connotation of bad behavior.
I read a book, and then I read a better book, and that book made the first book seem less good, and I read another book, and it made both books
The problem
seem less
is,
good.
is that
So what-
following your logic, you're fucked on this one, because following
No.
your logic, if we're talking about books, right?
Uh-huh.
What's the harm, generally speaking, of reading Lord of the Rings and then reading like the Sword of Truth and thinking the Sword of Truth is less good than the Lord of the Rings? You want to have those comparisons for knowledge. Those are actually good comparisons.
Sure.
Not so good Like, nobody's ever going to report their happiness level. Their general wellness level in society has decreased because they read The Lord of the Rings. And then after that, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, bro. They definitely will do that with drugs, and they will definitely do that with relationships, especially interpersonal ones, because they're elongated. Relationships
Andrew,
are elongated.
I guess so. Then I'm curious for you. Do you hold the same standard for men and women, that it's bad for them to have promiscuous sex and they should wait until
I definitely
marriage?
think that promiscuity in men is a fucking problem.
Okay.
100% hold the same exact standard. But here's my caveat. It is generally less damaging overall in society if men are promiscuous than women are. Generally.
And like based on
So here's generally why that is true. Now, again, the caveat here is both are bad.
Okay.
So I will make this distinction that if there's no male promiscuity, there can't be female promiscuity. You agree with that? And same thing, if there's no female promiscuity, there's not going to be male promiscuity, right?
well, unless they were same-sex relationships, but yeah.
Between men and women, dude.
Okay, well, you said a general
Good
prescription
Lord.
on society, and I was putting... Fine, okay.
First of all, in same-sex relationships, even when they're married, there's massive amounts of promiscuity by the numbers, right? The unfaithfulness rating for married gay men is outrageous. The amount of sex parties they have, outrageous. The amount of promiscuity is fucking
So,
outrageous.
well, first,
So anyway, so there's that.
Well, statistics on that, we would have to look at...
The
for a
statistics
reason
aren't
why.
even questioned on
Okay,
that.
hold on. What do you think gets
gay-
reported more?
Bro, what?
What do you think gets reported more in terms of infidelity? I think within
What do you mean?
same-sex relationships, because that's
It's
much,
easier with
I think
same-sex
that's much more
relationships
normalized.
because the sample
Yeah.
size is so small.
It's also much more normalized within those communities. There are a lot more gay men. largely
Yeah,
who
and
do
that's
that. Yeah.
bad, though,
No,
right?
I
That's
don't-
not good,
I
right?
I think it's bad if they're not informing their partner the same way it's bad if a heterosexual couple is not informing their couple.
Wait, so wait a second. Wait a second. So you think then that if you're in like a heterosexual married relationship, if it's an open relationship, that's healthy?
It can be for certain people.
No, it's not healthy for basically anybody. They almost all, like 90% of them, actually, no, it's higher. It's like 95% of them fail. Open marriages, 95% fail. Open relationships, like 95% fail.
Stats,
It's insane.
Where are
It's insane.
you getting the stats from, Andrew?
Yeah, so these stats actually came, I think there was a combination of Pew Research, but there was, and the only reason I know this one off the top of my head, that it's 95% is because of Cuck Destiny, who, that this was quoted at him nonstop, right? And what happened with his relationship?
I have no idea. I don't follow him.
He was married in an open relationship, and guess what? Everyone told him, bro, it's going to fail. And guess what happened?
Okay.
It failed. And why did it fail? The same reason all of them fail. Now, not only do you have a comparative sample, right, but you can go test it. Now you can just go test it whenever you want to, right? That doesn't seem like it's very good for society in general. Like for your parents to have open relationships and going out and like sleeping with other people. That seems like
So-
if the failure rate's that high, that would be
Here,
bad.
I mean, I guess I think that largely it also comes from a lack of honesty between people. That can be a huge contributing factor, is largely because of guilt, because of shame, because of people who don't think that's
so
how
if
it
we
should
just
be.
destigmatized it.
I think I'm not claiming that it,
So we just
everything would-
destigmatize
Wait
it,
a
bro?
second, Andrew. I'm not claiming that everything would get better, and I'm also not claiming that open marriages are better than closed marriages. I would agree with you, at least from personal experiences. That's not my cup of tea. But I don't.
You were in an open relationship?
Not directly an open relationship, but like if you're not like officially dating, but people are seeing multiple people.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. Okay? But
Okay.
it doesn't mean I know people who that works for. It doesn't work for me.
Who?
But I'm not
No, you
trying to-
don't know
Yeah,
anybody
dude.
it's long-term work for.
Dude, I went to Oberlin College, man.
No,
Yeah,
none of
okay.
these people will long-term work for, basically.
What?
Basically none.
No, I don't think that's true at all.
It is true.
Okay.
Like by the numbers, it's true.
Okay.
So like when it comes to open relationships, right? Especially open marriages, that's usually one of the number one signs of failure, in fact, is that one couple or one partner asked to open up the relationship.
Okay.
Dude, like imagine that. Just think about that for a second. If a man's wife came to him and just wanted to be open and honest and said, listen, honey, I just want to go fuck this other guy. But that's not how she frames it. She's going to be nice like you. She's going to say, listen, there's some satisfaction issues that I have in the bedroom and this is going on. And that's how bad do you think that guy would feel like on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably not great, but I think that
Probably, like, really
wait a
bad,
second.
right?
Then I think that hopefully would initiate a conversation where he's like, "Oh, okay. Do you mind if we try out things that you like and we see if that's something that I'm okay with?" Or he could just say, "Fuck it. that's not something I'm okay with. If you choose to do that,
Yeah,
I'm getting a divorce. That's fine. You're
if a
allowed to have
woman-
that preference.
Yeah, if a woman came to you and said that she wanted to like open up your relationship to sleep with other men, right? Would that make you feel really bad?
It would make me realize there's a problem.
Yeah, would
And
you want to stay in a relationship where that was the solution your partner proposed to you, that she would sleep with other men?
I would have a conversation with her. I don't know. It would really depend on exactly what
It would depend.
she wanted. If she proposed that, actually, it would be a deal breaker if she wasn't talking to me about her needs. So, for example, if she was never complaining, granted this is not a problem that I've had, but if she was talking about this and like never was vocalizing her dissatisfaction, and the first thing she said was, "I want to open the relationship," then I would be like, what the heck? Why didn't we discuss this earlier?
She just expressed her dissatisfaction for
a long time.
For a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think we would probably break up then, because there seems to be an incompatibility there.
Yeah,
that
so you
might
just
not go
wouldn't do
through.
it. Now, what if she never would have vocalized any of this because she had no dissatisfaction because she never fucked anybody but you?
No.
What about that?
It's fucking weird.
Can you answer that? Hang on. Hang on.
No, that's
Would
weird.
you have a preference though that
No.
if you took that same woman, right? Same woman, you really liked her, everything was great, and if it were the case that she'd had no comparative sample size, she would have stayed with you. Would you have preferred that?
No.
No.
No, I don't think so. But
How
it's
is
weird.
that good for people's health and
Hold on.
wellness, dude?
Andrew,